humanist perspective presented by the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association, following our few principles of humanism.
We're committed to the use of science and reason for understanding the universe and for solving human problems. We're skeptical of untested claims of knowledge, but we're open to new ideas.
We are concerned with securing justice and fairness in society and in ending intolerance and discrimination. We are committed to the total separation of religion and government.
We affirm humanism as a realistic alternative to the theologies of despair and the ideologies of violence. We reject the concept of an afterlife and believe in living a full and rewarding life here and now.
We value and respect each individual's right to judge and lead their lives according to their own position, as long as it's respectful of other people living in a free society.
We hope you enjoy today's program and others in the weeks to follow. Hello again, and thanks for being with us. Today it's a real pleasure and a privilege to have as my guest New Orleans City Council President Jackie Clarkson. Jackie, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Harry, for inviting me, and it's nice to see you again.
Well, Jackie and I go back a long way. Back when I was heading up the French Quarter Business Association, yes, and your council district included the French Quarter.
It started in my first campaign.
And we occasionally had issues with the city, and we would come before the council, and most of them got resolved. But
well, you'd come to my office first, then we would resolve them.
All right, but we always had a cordial relationship.
Right, yes, we have, even when we disagreed.
Even so, but that wasn't all that often.
No. And it was always most of the time, if we were at two different ends, we came to a compromise, not a change of opinion, which was always good government.
Exactly. Well, since I mentioned that you are the council person from Algiers, and I read in the paper that you recently were honored by an Algiers organization, the Algiers Economic Development Foundation, honored you for your years of public service, and I congratulate you on that.
Thank you. That's the business people that are active in Algiers that are wonderful, and that organization started about the time I started. We grew up together by the time I started in government, and they have been a great resource for us at City Hall for Algiers, yes. And so I was very honored to be honored by them, and they wanted to thank me for all the years, and I hope I've done a good job because I've loved the job.
You're talking in the past. You do not plan to run for any re-election.
Well, I'm out of terms. I would gladly stay in this job forever.
Okay.
This is my favorite so far, and I've had three careers now. This is my favorite job of all. I love the situation I'm in. I love the council, and I love the administration. I like being the liaison, I think, between the council and the mayor, and I like what we're getting done in the city. Well, and I like the position of having the whole city, not just a part of it. And then I love the fact that we are making accomplishments, and I just think it's phenomenal, and I'm the budget chairman. The combination's been very, very significant to me as a businesswoman.
Okay, I hope you are as pleased with our current mayor as I am.
I'm very pleased, and the reason is he gets things done, and he finds resources, and he leverages resources, especially financial resources, and I think it's phenomenal because that's how you have to run city government. And we alleviated a $100 million debt that we took on in this tenure, and
I'm sure that was not easy.
It was not easy at all, and we cut $40 million a year out of operating, and balanced the budget, and got our bond ratings to go from junk status to A-. That is not easy, and that is a major accomplishment. Now we can do bond sales and get more infrastructure, and that's what it's all. And so this is the job I love, because I feel like it's making a difference in my city, and so that's why I came into the whole profession, or the whole, government realm.
All right. Now, as you saw in the introduction to our show, a part of secular humanism is our determination to live full and rewarding ethical lives during this lifetime, because it is not our expectation that there will be an afterlife. I'm sure you are in total accord with our objective of living full, rewarding, ethical
Definitely,
lives.
even though I do believe in an afterlife.
And it doesn't matter that we have an area of disagreement, because that's not what we're going to talk about today.
Exactly.
What I want to talk about are really two subjects, because regarding full lives, there are ways that the city can contribute to that. So I want to talk about two things: the return of Le Petit Theater, and then other things that the city does to contribute to good lives for people.
Okay.
Now, the Le Petit situation that made the news media, there's apparently Le Petit was bankrupt, or they were having a serious problem.
Well, I've been on the board off and on, and been one of their major fundraisers off and on for 20 years. So I can tell you, we were in financial ruin.
Yes.
We were ready to shut the doors. We did have to shut the doors. We're ready to go into foreclosure.
Right,
especially after Katrina, with so much damage to the building. And so that's a very old building, and it's not easy, as you know, having been in the French Quarter.
Yes.
It was not easy, even with insurance. It was not easy to repair it nor maintain it. And so we had to come up with we finally came to the realization, Harry, that a 370-seat theater doesn't support a building as big as that building. That building came to be in parts. So we decided we could go back to the original theater.
Yes.
That size.
Before we talk about, because I do want to know all of the improvements and what the future looks like, but at the time that all of this came to a head, there was some serious angst and acrimony among the different individuals and groups related to Le Petit. And I'm just going to put all that behind us, because what I want to talk about is where you were going. Tell me about the improvements to the theater, what you see as the future, for the theater, and how that's going to contribute to fulfillment of the lives of people who enjoy theater in New Orleans.
Right. Well, first of all, my love of theater, and I go back to my father being on that stage, and a daughter who's quite successful professionally. So
yes,
I know the worth of theater, and I know the worth of theater, the Le Petit Theater, to this city, because we were the home of Tennessee Williams and William Faulkner, for heaven's sake. So we needed real live theater of that vintage to stay alive. And it's the oldest theater in the country, 96 years old, oldest community theater in the country.
Community theater, yes.
And continuous community theater, and there was no way we could let that die. However, we couldn't continue to keep that entire building. That was the hat I wore.
Financially, there was no way to
continue, and we should have realized that 20 years ago, in my opinion. And so we had to decide, and the acrimony that was created, I must say, was by different people who had the same mission. They wanted to do their version of saving the theater.
They wanted to save it, of course.
And we could all disagree. That's okay. But I'd been around it long enough that, of course, I felt I was right. And I hung with the group that I felt was right. And we didn't give up the mission. And we persevered, and it was not easy. But had it gone into foreclosure, that kind of a building auctioned could have been a disaster. I mean, it could have been a bar or a T-shirt shop. So that was the hat of the councilwoman that had to give it extra time.
I think that you people on the board, and you as a council person, could not let it go into bankruptcy.
So that's why it got more time than most of my boards that I serve on, because the hat of the councilwoman saw that possibility and made sure it didn't happen, helped make sure. The hat of the theater lover and vice president of the theater board made sure we got back our original theater with real theater again under professional direction, which we always had good direction.
Yes.
I felt.
Oh, your direction was not at fault.
No, not at all. And so it was the managing of the theater, not the direction. We were managing something that was financially insolvent, and that's not smart.
Let me just throw this in. Back in the earlier days, I served for a short time on the board of directors of Gallery Circle Theater.
And I remember, you see,
And at
that's
that
why I was so
time-
anxious to come today, Harry, because you, back then when we agreed on business,
Yeah.
we also agreed on the arts being such a great part, and the
Yes.
theater especially being such a great part of this
But
city.
back in those early days, the only local theater here was Le Petit and
Exactly.
Gallery Circle.
Absolutely.
And now, if you look around
It's everywhere.
at theater in New Orleans, new theaters and new production people all over this city.
There's a proliferation.
which is wonderful.
Fabulous.
Wonderful.
Because theater begets theater. And there's all kinds of theater, so there's room for everybody.
Yes.
And we have Mahalia that's booming, and we have the Sanger that's opening.
Yes.
There's still more room for more. I mean, this
I'm
is a city
amazed.
of serious culture and historic culture and multicultural culture.
I am
And
amazed that with the seating capacity at Mahalia Jackson, they're filling that theater.
every night
That
for every
is-
event. It's
I don't know where
fabulous.
all these people are coming from, but it's good to know that they're
Well, they're
out
coming
there.
from the entire region, including the Gulf Coast, which is phenomenal.
Yes.
And that's what we need. We are the second oldest city in America. We're older than America, and we're the only city that's had the multicultural history that we have.
Yes.
And as much of the arts, as the diversity of arts that we've had, that's a responsibility to the country as much as it is to our own people.
All right.
And so I feel that seriously because I grew up in it in my family.
Well, tell me about the improvements to Le Petit and what you're looking forward to.
Okay, well, last night we opened the season with Lombardi.
Okay.
And it was all about Vince Lombardi, the greatest NFL coach ever. And it was all about football for theater lovers. But this is a football city. And it was like the renaissance of the theater, the Lombardi show.
And you
because
didn't see a separation between people who like sports and people who like theater?
Not at all, because I grew up with a daddy that coached football and performed on the stage. Okay, and I felt it all came back together last night.
All right.
But one reason football was the essence of an opening season is that was the revival of the oldest theater in the country. Parallel with the Bensons there, Sean Payton there, Jim Taylor there, Joe Lombardi there, the grandson, to say it's like the Saints helped the revival of the city. We are reviving the theater. It's all a renaissance. It all goes together. And we are a city that has always thrived on sports and arts. We've always put them together, and not very many cities do it as well as we do. So that's very significant to this city.
What sort of physical improvements do they
Totally
have?
renovated. Totally renovated. It's just beautiful. And we have only the actual old theater left. The Brennans, bless the Brennans' heart, Dickie Brennan, they're our partners. They came in and made us an offer to take 60% of the building. And we have a condominium regime, so they paid us for 60% of the building. So we had the finances to completely redo the theater. It's gorgeous. And we share the middle lobby.
Yes.
And, I mean, it's how much better can you get than to have the oldest theater in the community theater in the country with an icon, a Dickie Brennan, and have the combination of we not only saved that theater, we saved the most historic corner in America.
Yes.
That corner had to remain the treasures of this city. It could not become something that was not acceptable. Right there by the Cabildo and Jackson Square and the Presbyterian and the Cathedral and the Pontalbas, my goodness, it had to remain.
And those
authentic.
other historic buildings are not likely to go bankrupt.
Exactly. And so the improvements are phenomenal, and you have Dickie Brennan's as a synonymous part of it, sharing the courtyard, and there's always access to food. When we had the Lagniappe show, Love, Loss, and What I Wore, that was a first show that was not the opening of the season. It was a Lagniappe show, and we had the excitement in that lobby that night was unbelievable. And I walked in and I'm talking to all these people and I'm saying, you know what's different here? Even in New York off-Broadway, where you get this kind of good live theater, you don't get this kind of good food with it.
Okay, well,
that's one of a kind in America.
Exactly. Well, that's really great. Now, what sort of well, for one thing, I assume that the board now has someone taking great responsibility for finances.
All right. What we have is, first of all, we had pro bono help from Jones Walker Law Firm, from Iberia Bank, from people who came in and helped us tremendously make the difference. And we have a very fine CPA, but more importantly, Cassie Worley, who chaired our board through all of this, is a professional of 25 years. She's been an actress, a producer, and she taught acting at Country Day for over 20 years. And she's a Tulane graduate in drama and theater, and she's now our executive director. And she ran our board like a business, so she's been an excellent choice for our executive director. Plus, she has the artistic ability to create and run theater. So we're in the process of hiring more staff and more help for her, but we have a board that is, we met every week, not every month, every week for 3 years. That's what it took to pull this off. And everybody on the board has an expertise that they brought to the table. Our chair is Bruce Hofer and Bruce Hofer, and our and everybody else on the board. I mean, we have people like, Diana Bajwa, and I mean, everybody has had experience in some other part of this city and state that they could bring resources and expertise to the table. And Mike Mitchell, who chairs Broadway Across America, for the, he's another vice president on the board. We have Janet Daly, who's president of Tennessee Williams. She's on the board. I mean, and we had. We have Kathleen Favreau Van Horn. Favreau stepped up to the plate, just like Iberia Bank and Jones Walker. I mean, people were pouring out of the woodwork to help us, and they all had expertise and they all had resources, and that was the secret.
Well, the musical productions at Le Petit were always lavish. And also expensive.
Well, that was the problem.
Are they working now with a budget? Do you give each show a budget?
We have a serious budget. And so far, 2 productions down. Well, the one complete, one started. So far, we're ahead of budget.
Good. Now, do you have your season schedule set?
Yes, we do.
All right, good. So.
And the next production after this one runs till the Lombardi runs till the 21st, and then Hair opens in November.
I see.
And we have the whole season set, and it's.
I'll ask you an embarrassing question. When Hair opened in New York those many years ago, there was complete nudity. Is that planned for your production?
No.
All right. I just wanted to ask.
And we have, we're trying to do all ends of the spectrum, what every age group will like and what every, venue of theater there is. And but it was very exciting last night. We were honored to have Gail and Tom Benson there, and they brought the Lombardi Trophy with them.
Yes.
And that was sitting on stage when the curtain opened. How nice was that?
Well.
And then Joe Lombardi that was there is the grandson of Vince Lombardi that the play's all about, and he's our quarterback coach of the Saints, and Sean Payton was there. I mean, and then Jim Taylor drove in from Baton Rouge. Jim Taylor was, for a football lover, Jim Taylor was one of the greatest LSU football players, and then played Green Bay Packers under Vince Lombardi. We just had it all.
That sounds like a great evening.
And we brought a lot of worlds together last night for an opening of
so
the
season. Show will be just as good for other audiences.
Yes, indeed. I mean, your interest can be anything, and you will enjoy this season.
Okay. Now,
but more importantly, the theater is alive and well, and instead of having a debt, we have an endowment.
Yes.
Instead of having productions that cost us money, we're having productions that make us money. And so
that is not easy.
That is not easy to do.
I have talked to many of the new local theater people, And I have said that generally local productions don't make money.
No, and that's we've
you've
been very careful to craft this.
You
so
have to have grants or some other kind of help, because it's hard to cover your costs just by ticket sales. That's a very hard thing to do. Now, I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about how the city of New Orleans might contribute to full and satisfying and rewarding lives to its citizens. One thing that comes to mind right off the bat is NORD.
We have rebuilt NORD.
Tell us something about NORD.
Well, and I want to say that not only did my office and the whole City Hall help me give a lot of support to Le Petit, the mayor and the administration gave me all the help I needed, so that the hat that I wore of the councilwoman could do whatever I had to do to help rebuild Le Petit. So that was probably one of the best examples. And now Le Petit is also doing outreach, which we committed to do for all the help that we got. Outreach by going into underserved children and bringing them into the theater to teach them theater and to let them perform on the main stage.
That's in conjunction with NORD.
Not with NORD. That's in conjunction with our theater. Okay. Now we're going to collaborate with NORD as we are with Roots of Music and all of the other programs. NORD has become a private-public partnership. When Mitch Landrieu took over as mayor, the council had put it in motion before he came, and he was able to really pull it off very, very well. We got a vote of the people, a referendum. It's in the charter for us to be a private-public partnership.
Okay.
And we have doubled the city's money that's in NORD, and we are matching it with private money with a foundation, and we have rebuilt more playgrounds in 3 years than we have ever built at one time.
I didn't mention that NORD is New Orleans Recreation Department. And so primarily you're concerned with recreational facilities.
Yes.
And I see something I pulled out of the paper that says NORD C, Lions Center reopening. What is that?
That means New Orleans Recreation Commission, because we're now a commission that has autonomy from the city, so that we can create, so we could be this public-private partnership, so the private part could go out and raise money. And as a result, people have confidence in what we're doing. So just like with Le Petit, when people got confidence in the board, they came forth with resources. People have confidence in NORD. So when we begin to put our FEMA money and our city money into Joe Brown Park, Nike stepped up, Drew Brees Foundation stepped up. We're doing the same thing in NORD, and it's working. We're bringing the public resources, private and public resources, back into this city to use where it best serves our youth primarily. And so NORD is better than, I can say, as the daughter of one of the founders of NORD and an original child of NORD.
Yes.
NORD's as good as it's on a path to be as good as when it was started. And it's the first time it's been this good in 30, 40 years.
Well, when you talk about that particular time when you were a child of NORD, that takes me back almost to my youth. Now, I did have something, and I think you have already covered this, but this is something I got out of the newspaper, and it says Crescent City Lights Youth Theater is a partnership with New Orleans Recreation
and that's
Department.
The next thing I was getting to. We brought the NORD Theater was already back ahead of the NORD conversion, but they were kind of struggling, and so we've tried to secure them a little better. But that's one of the turnkeys we do at NORD. We partnership with a nonprofit to put like Crescent City Lights is our NORD Theater. Okay. They're in Gallia Hall. They're in the Ty Tracy Theater building in the basement of Gallia Hall, and they're fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Julie Conde she's a professional, and she does a wonderful job with our youth, and and she collaborates with NORD, and that's what we're doing in several cases where NORD knows they can't create it from scratch.
Yes.
We're turnkeying, and we have NORD Theater. We also did the same thing, and I'm proud to say that I started this, because when I was a child, my father was probably the lead founder of Nord, with Dr. Jeff and Lester Lautenschläger and Gernon Brown and Ted Gormley and Harry Batt won that team. We had a team of great minds.
You're a name dropper, but go ahead.
Well, those names helped build this city, okay?
Right.
And so and back then we had ballet in the gymnasiums, because for the underserved kids that couldn't afford ballet.
Yeah.
Lilia Haller, who was a retired prima ballerina, you know the name, she came to the Nord gymnasiums and taught ballet.
Okay.
Well, I took ballet from Lilia when I played volleyball. I mean, I would...
would you like to demonstrate some ballet steps?
I didn't do either one as well as I could swim. I'd need a pool to do my best Nord thing. And so, but when I came to City Hall in 1990, as you remember, there was no Nord ballet. And I said, my goodness, we have to bring back ballet to the gymnasiums with a prima ballerina. So the city couldn't afford it, but the idea caught on, and Sidney Bartholomew at the time said, yes, let's try to do this. The head of Nord, Dolores Aaron, said, yes, let's try to do this. I had a lot of encouragement. The New Orleans Ballet Association stepped up to the plate and said, we will do this with you. Mm-hmm. We will become your private-public partnership. They took it over, and they brought in the professionals and brought in what they had to do to get this started. And it started 20 years ago in 1992. And we, still this day, have expanding and expanding and expanding ballet in the Nord theaters. In the Nord gymnasiums. And it's phenomenal.
We're almost out of time, but I want to ask you about another thing. I was in the past, and I hope it is still there. There was in the police department. There was a quality of life officer. Do they still have that?
Yes, we still have quality of life officers. Thank you for asking. They're the unsung heroes of this city. And as our police force has dwindled, regrettably so, and we have 2 recruit classes going on this year, so we're trying to rebuild it. As it has dwindled, we haven't been able to put as much attention on our quality of life. We've had to put our attention on felons, but it starts with quality of life. Giuliani proved that in New York.
Yes.
And we are trying to get back. We're still doing it, but we're trying to get back to more of it if we can, Harry. Thanks for asking.
Well,
because you and I remember when it served a huge purpose, especially in the quarter.
And we still have a serious crime problem that I think the city is attempting to address.
We are trying very hard, and we're making slow inroads, but it's not something we created overnight, so it's not something we're going to solve overnight.
Jackie, we are almost out of time. And in fact, we are out of time. I want to thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you.
And I think you folks in the audience will have enjoyed this half hour, and we hope you'll be back with us often.